If you are serious about getting better at public speaking faster, please do not just watch this video. I need you to get a pen, paper, laptop, anything that can write or type. If you do not have any of those, I will wait. My name is Beverly, world champion of public speaking, your public speaking mentor, and it took me 10 years to reach the level of public speaking ability that I currently have. But you do not have to wait that long. Today, you and I are going to cover ways that you can get better at public speaking in a 1/10 of that time, or faster. Just like if you want to get stronger, build more muscle, you have to go to the gym and you have to put in more reps. Admittedly, you have to do a little bit more than that, but I hope that you get the analogy. When it comes to public speaking, you also need to get in the reps. You need repetition. Here's what I want you to do right now. Write down places where you can practice your speaking or where you can get a speaking opportunity. Write down as many places as you can think of. If you belong to a Toastmasters chapter, list that. If you have an opportunity to speak at work during a meeting, list that. List any place, any situation where you can get up in front of an audience and give a presentation. Now, if you're a person who has many places that you already speak, that's great. I want you to list at least 5 more opportunities. And I don't want you to just write down these opportunities. I want you to actually pursue them. All of this repetition, all of these occasions are only going to help you. You'll get more experience. Whether it's good or bad, it's going to be valuable experience. You're also going to get more advice and more feedback. Speaking of feedback, you need to apply feedback from various people whom you trust. One of the ways you can do this is by building what I call your circle of counsel. If you follow me on this channel, then you've probably heard me talk about the circle of counsel before. It's a small group of people who you trust will give you unbiased feedback. That unbiased feedback from people that you trust can really help you because they're not going to just sugarcoat everything for you and tell you that you're doing great when in fact you're actually doing pretty badly. But this circle of counsel should also comprise of people who care about you enough to not totally shame you and just demoralize you. Another factor that should go into your circle of counsel consideration is the experience of the people you're asking to be in that council. If you want to be a better speaker, your circle of counsel should comprise of people who are good speakers or good judges of good speakers. Now, another part of feedback is making sure that you apply feedback that you actually understand. Now, here's a scenario in feedback that I want you to avoid like the plague. You find somebody to give you some advice or some evaluation, and they tell you to do something and you just do it without understanding what it is that you are doing. Never, 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 never apply feedback that you do not understand. And avoid people who try to force you into taking feedback that they don't explain the context to. If you find yourself in a situation where somebody says, hey, instead of saying this, just say da 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 da. And then you go on and say da 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 without understanding any reason why you're saying da 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 da. Then congratulations, my friend. You are now a parrot.
Can you do a cat? How about a dog? Can you bark?
Good job. Now, best case scenario, the advice you received may actually work, but you won't understand why or how it worked. And then you're going to try to replicate the same situation and you're not going to get the same result. And you won't know why it didn't work in this scenario. Make sure you take the time to understand the feedback that you're receiving. And if somebody's giving you this feedback and you don't understand it, ask them to explain it in a way that you can understand. And if they can't explain it, then it's all the more reason not to apply that feedback. They're probably somebody else's parrot. Now, this one is important. And I want you to make sure that you do this if you really want to improve faster. Record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself. And watch it. This one's pretty self-explanatory. You watch the recording, you see what mistakes you're making for yourself, you improve those, you record yourself again. Boom. It's just a cycle of constant improvement and you don't need anybody else to help you other than yourself. Next up, if you want to improve faster, you need to improve the material that you have created already. Please don't be one of those people who thinks that every time they give a speech, that speech is just done, it cannot be improved upon, and you just need to work on the next speech. A lot of professional speakers will use their speeches for years before they even think about making a new one. And a lot of those speakers who use those speeches over and over again, They get paid some very big bucks. But when you improve your old speeches, you're going to take less focus away from writing a new speech, and you're going to focus it more on, okay, what are some principles and techniques that I can use to improve my overall speaking skills? It's so much better than writing a new speech and then trying to incorporate those skills. Now, I will admit, there will be some point where you need to make a new speech. One speech doesn't fit every scenario. Just try not to make it a one and done. Next up, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, and watch it. And then once you get that out of the way again, I want you to make sure that you're focusing on one thing at a time to improve. On one day, I could have wanted to improve my storytelling skills. And then for another day, I could have wanted to improve my stage movement. But whenever I gave a speech and I wanted to receive some feedback, there was always something that was my primary focus. And the reasoning is just logic. If you're trying to stretch yourself and incorporate all of this feedback for every single other aspect of public speaking at the same time, that's going to be frustrating and tiring. I definitely would not suggest it. Now, if you're a Toastmaster, then you should know that the Toastmasters curriculum is segmented into different parts, and they're segmented because they want you to focus on one thing at a time. For this project, you have one objective. Then for this project, you can work on a new objective when you master that first one. If you want to keep improving on your speaking, make sure that you never lose focus of the value that you're bringing to your audiences. Now, there is an art side and a business side of public speaking, and the mindset and approaches between the two can be vastly different sometimes. But one thing that will never be different between them is the fact that the value is for your audience and not the speaker. Have you ever heard a speaker who really wasn't that good fundamentally in public speaking, but they were just able to capture everybody and every single word that they said? This is likely because they were giving value to the audience, and the audience appreciated it. Providing value can take you so far in public speaking. Even if you are not the most fundamentally sound, you can be a great speaker because you're giving great value. There are a lot of speakers out there who are really talented, but you can just tell that they're self-absorbed, that they're just worried about what they're going to get, not what they're going to give the audience. And an audience can smell that a mile away. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes how good you are is totally subjective to the value that you're giving. So make sure that you're giving top-notch value. Record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, and watch it. And once you do that, I want you to find a way to get into speaking competitions. Competing in the International Speech Contest in Toastmasters International was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Because if you're a competitive person, you're going to be thinking, how can I improve myself so that I can go on to later rounds? And if you're lucky enough to go to later rounds, guess what? You're getting more of that valuable repetition. But word of caution, even if you win, do not become complacent with your win. Even as a world champion of public speaking, I still look for ways to improve. I still have that competitive mindset, trying to find a way to improve to get to later rounds, even though those later rounds for me are going to have to be outside of the International Speech Contest arena. But there are different types of competitions that you can take part in. There are different competitions, even in Toastmasters, that you can take part in. Even if you have to organize it yourself, try to find a way where you can get into a competitive environment that's healthy, because that added drive is only going to encourage you to get better. And by the way, while you do that, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, and like and subscribe.